Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us with this special announcement. Dear Matt Riddle and Misha Montana, we at Monte The Pharaoh are writing to extend our heartfelt apologies for the unintended offense of misunderstanding that may have risen from our recent interactions. It is essential for us to address the concern raised and express our regret for any discomfort we may have caused. Our intention has always been to create an inclusive and respectful platform that fosters open dialogue. However, in the recent year, we have lost focus. But after the recent events from this past weekend, we may have deviated from the original plan of the show and want to reach out and give our deepest apologies. We want to make it deeply clear that we value your contributions of you both to your respective industries and your respect to your perspectives on life. Our goal is to learn from the situation and ensure that moving forward, we uphold the highest standards of professionalism and sensitivity. Your voices and our sanity matter, and we are committed to creating an environment where individuals feel to be heard and valued. Please accept our sincere apologies for any distress or inconvenience we have caused. We appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow from this experience and are dedicated to making the necessary adjustments to ensure a more positive and respectful engagement in the future. Thank you for your understanding. We look forward to the possibility of rebuilding trust and continuing to collaborate as Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Have a good night. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, New York. At the board is our super producer, Abe. Abe, great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I just wanted to say before we get started, I got nothing but respect for you, man. All the professionalism you showed this weekend. I mean, everyone saw what was going on. All the studio guests, ESO, Phil, the owner of the station. I just wanted to share my thoughts and let you know I got nothing but respect for you with how you handled all that,
Abe, you don't know what that means to me. It was a rough weekend, and I really do thank you for those kind words. But
of course, brother.
Let's not lose focus on this go-home show before the wonderful Thanksgiving, where we're welcoming a guy I tremendously respect and hold in the utmost, I don't even know how to explain it. Mr. Sean Oliver. Sean, thank you for joining the show.
Well, thank you, and I'll concur with Abe that I have great respect for you. I won't tell anyone that you palmed my ass extensively before
Yes.
we sat down.
It's always a good thing.
And the incident in the bathroom with the goat, we're not even going to touch. But outside of that, mad respect, as the youngins say.
Well, same here, man. Before we get into you, the person, I wanted to hit some news items.
There you go.
with
You want to get into me.
Don't twist my words, pal. All right, that's all I have to say.
I'll be all over LinkedIn with this.
Oh boy. Oh man. Wow. Beautiful. Iowa team sentenced to life in prison for killing his Spanish teacher. Goodale and Miller pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in killing Noema Graber which occurred when they were both 16 years old. Grobber was a teacher at the Fairfield High School where Miller and Goodale were students, city officials said. Grobber was beaten to death with her remains concealed under a tarp, wheelbarrow, and railroad ties, investigators said. Sean, thoughts on this tasty little morsel?
Listen, I don't know what kind of student this kid was, but if he didn't study, he probably didn't understand what the teacher was saying, maybe misconstrued. You turned in the paper late with, please cut off my head and bury me with railroad ties. I don't know the language that well, so I don't know if it's close, but it might be. You have to dig into these things a little more deeply. I miss the Pharaoh.
I know you. Well, let's talk about Jimmy, right? We were talking this show. Jimmy moved to Florida, where he met the love of his life, Miss Karen McDaniel, the widowed wife of the great Wahoo McDaniel. Isn't there nothing better than love and wrestling, Sean?
Well, Jimmy, let's try to get him back. Let's entice him. Hey, Jimmy, in the green room right now, Susan Bockwinkel. Bring it. If you can't get a flight tonight, Martha Hart next week.
Oh, my God.
Vicky Guerrero the week after that. If
Sean,
that doesn't get him back, I don't know what will.
At no point did I ever know you were a comedian, man. That is some funny, right off the cuff stuff.
A little levity to break the tension.
Without a doubt.
Break the tension, what's going on in the goddamn studios in Ronkonkoma.
What are your thoughts are going on in this country? Here you are. I don't want to call you an elder statesman, but you're watching this country. I know you're political. What are your true thoughts on what's happening in this country right now?
I have a co-host named Kevin Nash, who has a wall of televisions with all news going all the time. So there is nary a day where I can speak to Kevin where something does not come up regarding something in the news. It almost seems each day like it can't get worse, and then it does. So I think George Carlin, one of his bits that I liked was where he celebrated entropy, the complete and absolute breakdown of everything. And he was a very big fan of it. So he would have been very proud to spend his time on this planet now. You know what was most, just speaking of U.S. politics, and we talked about this, we recorded our Click This, here we are, last night. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said he was approached by both political parties to run in the current election, which shows you the level of desperation in both parties and the disgust with who they have carrying the torch for the Democrats and Republicans. Before they even figured out what Dwayne's opinions were on issues, they came and said, he's likable, he's popular, we can get him elected. So desperate. We bypass the issues now just to find someone somewhat likable, because neither party wants to run the candidate that looks like will run for each party. Well, one's in already, but it's not a guarantee either.
I get it. I did not hear that. I mean, if we're in this type of state where we're going to go to a actor, professional wrestler to run for president of the United States, I'm just lost. I'm lost at this point.
Just based solely on his likability, it's come to that they're not even sifting through the political sphere. I don't know how. So this is what he said. This was from his mouth. So,
right.
I can't testify to the temerity of that, obviously, but he doesn't seem like a lunatic. He wasn't a temporary co-host for you. Turned out to be a lunatic. He seemed sane.
Right.
So I guess I believe him, but it does speak to the desperation of both parties nowadays. I think I'd give you my vote before anybody. Actually,
Well, that's crazy, but I would tell you no. I would. I am being serious about this. Nash seems like he actually would know what he was doing. I doubt he would run, but I would like to see that guy maybe run for a governor or a Senate seat or something like that. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't think he would want to do it. There is a degree of game playing that you have to do in the professional political world. James Carville, the I guess he was a Democratic strategist, you would call him now, but he ran Clinton's campaign in '92, the Ragin' Cajun. He said in one of his books, it was one of the most cogent things about politics that I'd read. He said he knew Obama was going to be in trouble in Washington because he was running under the banner of change, and nothing changes in Washington. And if you go in thinking you're going to change something just because you're the president, you're in for an uphill battle. The reason Clinton was so successful, he says, is because he knew how Washington worked, and he was able to talk to all parties, knowing that there would be compromise and knowing how to dangle the carrot to get both sides to go along with things. Clinton walked into a situation and said, I will be able to conduct this psychotic orchestra that is Washington, whereas Obama came in and said, we're going to change everything up. And that's a tough road. I liked Obama. I think he did a good job, but I'm saying that that Carville's comments on that has always stuck with me. And anybody that thinks they're going to go too outside the Washington box is definitely going to be in trouble. Look at us. Is this C-SPAN from the middle of goddamn Long Island tonight?
Dude, listen, I like wrestling, but I don't like wrestling that much, right? That was the Pharaoh's role. And I know you miss him. I get it. Hopefully he'll be back in the next couple of weeks. We're talking about it. He's, hopefully we get him back and we'll see how it works. But I really enjoy different types of subjects like this, Sean. Bizarre naked creature freaks out visitors at Google Street View. Was it a sextraterrestrial? Social media sleuths have left baffled over the eerie Google Street View image that appeared to depict a nearly naked floppy-armed creature in Utah. The image showed the critter with elongated limbs, seemingly sprinting across the field like an interstellar streaker near the Bears Ears Visitor Center of the town of Buff. What do you think that's about, man?
The interstellar streaker is my new working name, by the way. And if you look at that image, that is security camera footage of the Pharaoh running out of an apartment in Lakeland, Florida after chopped in the bedroom. Copious chops while he was hitting it dog style.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, you didn't ask for this tonight, did you?
I did not. I didn't ask for that 11 soft shirt either. I mean, I'm proud of you that you're 11. Who cares if it's soft or not? My shirt would say 2 in soft, so it's all right.
We have, this is part of our merch line for Click This, the Kevin Nash podcast, which you can all listen to wherever podcasts are available. But that's part of our merch line. It was brought up on the air, 11 soft, and the listeners didn't let it go. So we made a shirt, but we do sell a baby onesie that says 2 soft.
Nice. Very nice.
Really funny you said that.
If I could fit in it, if I could get my fat ass to fit in it, I'd get it, but I can't.
Oh, what are we going to do, Monty? I'm trying to lose weight now. Listen, I got the prescription for the goddamn Wegovy, like everybody else on the planet.
Right.
It's shooting themselves up with the diabetic drug for the simple fact that I cannot stop eating. This is a self-control issue, so I now need medical intervention to begin to lose weight. So this is what I will be trying.
I will tell you that I take the same drug, right?
You do?
Yeah, sure. I've been taking it for, I don't know, a couple of years now. I actually lost some weight.
I hope
but
you kept your receipt. What the hell happened?
All right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It worked in the beginning, and now it's not working at all. And I have the same problem. I guess when you lose certain things in your life, food replaces it, and then it becomes an issue. You know what I mean?
I know I'm a food addict, and people think that's funny or whatever, and maybe it is. There's worse things I could have going on, of course, but I eat. I associate food with happiness. I do. And the other thing, which is a problem, is because I eat for pleasure and because it's linked to happiness, when I'm full, I don't stop eating because it tastes good.
Right.
It makes me feel good. I keep going, So this is the problem. I'm hoping that medical science will help me curtail that. I wonder, though, because though these medications do make you feel more full, will I continue to eat the goddamn bone-in veal chop parmesan? Because look at the thing on the plate. It's like a woman. It's like a half-clothed woman. I'm walking away from this plate? No.
Very hard to do. Very hard to do.
Hard to do. I'm on a spiral to hell.
See, the younger people don't get it, though, right? Because they're at that age where they're still burning it off, and they don't understand how you could get addicted to food. But you're right. Food also is very a social interactive thing, right? People cannot drink, people cannot smoke, but everybody eats, right? So everybody has a commonality with food.
I smoked cigarettes for 10 years in my late 20s into 30s. And I will unequivocally state that dieting, anytime I've done it with fidelity, was harder than quitting smoking.
I've lost weight, tons of weight, numerous times. But like you said, it's a drug. So the minute I have that one slice of pizza or a little spaghetti, then it gets out of control, right? Because once you introduce those carbs back into your system, your body, it's like a drug addiction, right? At first it's 2 slices of pizza, then it's a half a pizza, and before you know it, you're eating a whole pizza.
So first I get diagnosed with, I get terrible pain on my left side, and I find myself in the hospital thinking, it wasn't the appendix. The appendix is on the right side. So I don't know what the hell I was there. Stones, maybe, something very painful. Ends up that it's diverticulitis. And so there's got to be some diet modification that happens. Red meat, because it's harder to process, oils. And that wasn't too hard. I could stay away from red meat except for the occasion steak on my birthday. Then I go. And some of the blood is high. So then it's like, okay, triglycerides are 378. Oh, what does that mean, Doc? Pasta, bread, rice. I always said, just put a bullet in my head. If I have to give up bread, pasta, pizza, any of that stuff. When I'm walking around looking for a cauliflower substitute, it's over. I've made some kind of compromise in my life that almost makes it not worth living.
I totally get it. I totally understand. All right, I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh.
Is Harley's wife, BJ Race, still alive? Because maybe we could have her the 4th week to try to get Pharaoh up here. BJ, lovely woman. I met her when I worked with Harley Race. And if she hasn't passed, she might be a little young for him.
You're killing me. You're killing me right now.
68.
Our own Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Riggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. Go to the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hit the like and subscribe. Go to Spotify, Apple Music, Reverb Nation. If you didn't know it, you were watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. You can catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV. If you're lucky enough to live in New York, catch us on Channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. and Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and Channel 20 on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., where you'll see our guest, Mr. Sean Oliver, in studio in a reduced version of this show. And there's an app out there I keep promoting. It's called Intuitive, IN2ITIVE Network. It's like a mini Netflix. You got movies, documentaries, comedy, and you've got Monte and the Pharaoh on there. We'll be right back at this commercial break with the great Sean Oliver, and I do mean great. We'll be right back. Sir? Manscaped? You know, have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about
Love
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So
big-
Manscaped is a must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a woman,
I know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Well,
Racing stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
have
it!
you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm
like it
46, of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
hear you. Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say it. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
but
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, where we have our special guest. We could call him the Podfather and so many other things, Mr. Sean Oliver. Sean, thanks again for joining us. Do you miss the Pharaoh?
Intriguing discussion there with Maven, and always one that the fellas, if some guys are together at the pub, maybe having a pint at the table, you can always talk about that topic there. Guys that are you troubled by the ficus tree? If that pops out of the panties,
Right.
see, the wood floor was I find troubling. I just think the Groucho is the way to go. The pivot bush and the wood floor, those are extremes. I don't think extremes work down there. I think a little Adolf action down there is that's the comfort level.
That is a comfort level, but I mean, at our age at this point, does it really matter?
Oh, listen, I'm a shit show coming at my wife, so I have nerve talking about anything. The condition of me. So, I need medical intervention to stop shoving pizza in my neck. How hot is that, ladies?
I
So,
I think about when I was younger, I was a lights on guy, right? Lights on all the time, felt good about myself. I can't turn the lights off fast enough in my house.
oh, listen, no one needs to see the socks on, the t-shirt on, the fucking, no. I'll throw a pillow at the freaking lamp.
Dude, getting old really does suck. It's rough.
Do you do the math, Monty? I do the math all the time, forward and backward. Like I go, okay, this, for example, we're near the same age, I guess, right?
Hmm.
The song "Summer of '69" by uh, it's about 1969, not what's going on in the
Gotcha. Yep.
Daniel home in Florida. Summer of '69 uh, was written about 1969. Now it came out in 1985. My listening to that song as a kid, the concept of the year 1969 when he was singing about it was otherworldly. It was black and white in my mind when I thought about Bryan Adams singing about putting the band together on the porch and all that stuff. But it was 16 years before it was written. It's the equivalent of a song now coming out, summer of 2007. To a teenager now, that song is, right, when I was thin. That's me doing the math, trying to figure out 16
Like,
years
slow down
from
the clock, please.
2023. Exactly. God damn it. Keep showing that shit. I'm hanging myself tonight.
I'll be right there with you, brother. Trust me.
It's so funny. There was a woman saw a picture of my IMDb, like from back in the day, of black and white headshots from the soap opera type days, and very nice woman. She goes, "Oh my God, what happened?"
Oh
She
my
was
God.
totally sincere, and I broke out into hysterics because I appreciated the honesty of that. And what is the answer? Age, science. Okay, there's one of them. Sure, right. What happened?
Yeah, but you know what, man? I think about this. When I was growing up and I was around not elderly people, but older people, I always showed them respect. And it's like now, it's like today's youth, they don't show any kind of respect. Doesn't matter. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I did when I was younger, and that weighs on me a little more today because I'm becoming the guy,
Right.
whose ball bag was hanging out of his shorts, that we would all laugh at and throw rocks at.
Oh my God. They're throwing rocks at a
It's
guy.
soon to be me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Just something like 10 years. Tack on 10 years to that number, whatever number you are right now. It's terrifying. If you were 20 years old and someone used that number, whatever 10 years from now is for you, that was inconceivable that you'd ever live to be that age. And it's right around the corner.
Yeah. And it, you know, when
Pharaoh's liable to date you with that number that we're talking about.
man, you are
Tacked on
killing him
10
right
years.
now. You are killing him. I remember a guy. He was a neighbor when I first moved into my first house, and he was a little older. He was older, and he told me, he goes, you're young. He goes, when you get to my age, every day is the same. Monday, Tuesday, all the way to Saturday. It doesn't matter anymore. It all molds together, and time just moves at 4 times. And I never got it, but now I get it. I don't even know what day it is anymore, or nor does it matter to me.
Yeah. No, I understand. I know what day it is because I know that I have to talk to Kevin. So, do I have a meeting today? It's Tuesday. Am I recording tonight? It's Wednesday. So that keeps me grounded.
Right.
And knowing what day it is. But I understand what you're saying. There will come a time very soon where maybe that's not as important. I talked about this on the air the other day. I got my AARP thing in the mail last year, and that was kind of a line in the sand for me. I felt if I opened it and had showed it any curiosity, that I was in some way complicit in what was coming. It's like if you sent me an email and the topic was 11-year-old boy's cock. If I opened the email, even out of curiosity, I'm complicit. So that's what the AARP letter was to me. Mm-hmm. And so it went immediately in the garbage, unopened. But then someone told me you can get very good discounts on car insurance.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, up here is a racket. So it's worth investigating that. Maybe I'll open the next mailer.
You should open the next mail, but not that I use mine either. I was just thinking the other day, I don't even go to places and use my veterans discount, right? Like, usually get like 10 or 15% for serving the country. I forget all the time. Like, I never bring it up, and I just, I probably lost, a couple $1,000 throughout the years, I think.
Absolutely. But I understand. It's not always on your mind. You're standing at the checkout. You're trying to get out of there. You got something to do. Hold on. Let me shuffle through all my cards here to show you my service card. I get it.
So, Sean, since you're so talented and you know how to pick talent, since I don't have a co-host, I put an ad out there and I've gotten some responses. I've got one video someone sent me. Tell me if you think she would be good for the show.
God damn, I look motherfucking good. Eating you bitches up. I'm talking about eating you bitch. God.
What
do you think?
I was wondering what happened to the Mulkey brothers, the jobbers from WCW in the 80s. And it's good to see they're going with the long hair.
And they'd like to come be co-hosts on Monte The Pharaoh, so not too bad. On a serious note, when do you decide to do the click? First I'll tell you, every Monday morning, it's an addiction. I listen to it every Monday morning. I'll watch it depending. I'm at work, so I'm listening. When did you say, hey, look, I'm just going to try to do a regular podcast? And more importantly, what I'm really impressed is you had a business plan to make money, right? Which a lot of people don't do, right? They just do this as a vanity project. What was the origins of this?
Kevin and I first flirted with the idea of a podcast in 2018. I still have the notes from when I began to kind of lay out what it would be. The podcast market wasn't as crowded in 2018, so there was a little opportunity to kind of make a mark a little more easily, maybe. But Kevin's so busy all the time, movies and stuff, and every time we were going to get going, he's like, I'm shooting something in England for 5 weeks. I'm like, well, that's going to put a damper on things. So, and then, then 2 months would go by. I'd have a text at 2 a.m, podcast, you and me, tomorrow we talk, and it wouldn't. So there was always something in the way. Now, unbeknownst to me, Tristan, his son, his late son, had been championing this at home on his end. He was a big podcast fan, and so he was telling Kevin about it. And our work together on the Kayfabe commentaries videos, people always, if you search the comments for the older U-shoots and guest booker and timelines, people always talked about a chemistry between us that they wanted to see more of. And when podcasts became a thing, that's how they began to express it in terms of a podcast. So Kevin, I think, just got tired of hearing it. So finally, last year, it'll be 2 years, I guess February, when he called me. He was like, it's now or never. We got to do this. And I said, fine. I knew that this is where it was going to go. The shoot interview is all but dead. it's a lot of people do them over the camera like this, and there's so much lost when you're not sitting in a room with someone absorbing their energy, that there is something that happens between two people when they sit a few feet apart. And not to blow myself here, but I guess if there's, we all have a superpower, right? Maybe we just haven't discovered it. But I guess what mine was, why kayfabe commentaries got to be what it was a rapport, was an ability to sit down and engender trust pretty quickly, and then go somewhere with a guest that maybe others hadn't, or they didn't realize they were willing to go. So I said, well, if podcasting is the way to go, it's going to be very different, and I have to see what it feels like. So I did a solo podcast called Kayfabe Stories You're Not Supposed to Hear. Still out there, available. I don't know, I did 40 episodes, whatever, like a year's worth. And I would talk a little bit myself, share my thoughts. Every show had a guest, from Ron Jeremy to all the workers that I worked with in the past that I had good rapport with. I had Lenny Poffo on, and Brutus Beefcake, and the podcast, I just wanted to see how it worked. So then when Kevin reached out and we were going to do this finally, I knew the market a little better, and I knew that, and if you know Kevin, the money's got to be right. So I knew whoever we went to, there had to be a structure in place where we were able to make what we deserved. We get now, I think, I know it's over 1 million views a month on our YouTube channel. That goes for full shows, but also clips. We chop up some stuff. And
which, by the way, I know the analytics, that's pretty solid money. That's good, decent money, right?
Yeah. And then on the audio side, on the ad side, there's, we do about 120,000 audio listens for four weeks of new programming. We do once a week. So that's kind of where we land. And those are numbers that we are comfortable with. Of course, we always think they could be higher. So that's always the quest. What do we do? We didn't want to do another wrestling podcast, Monty. That was the thing. Mm-hmm. There's so many. What are we going to offer that's different? I mean, there's only so many stories about the Click and about the NWO. So Kev's thing was always, even 5 years ago, when I said, Kev, I don't do anything unless it's different. I don't ever want to be doing something that someone else is doing. How are we going to handle this? The wrestling? He goes, it's two guys at the bar. I said, okay. He said, when two guys are having a good time at the bar, the guy next to them wants to slide over. And the guys at that other table want to come and sit up at the bar too. So if we could be two guys at the bar, like we are here when we go out to dinner, or, when we're hanging out in between shoots, if we could be two guys at the bar, people are going to come sit with us. And that was the only philosophy. I mean, the show is planned somewhat. We talk about what we want to talk about, but we never have, as you and Pharaoh probably did. You can't go over what exactly you're going to talk about because you want the spontaneity.
Yeah, we write a script, the bullet points, and sometimes it goes off the rails, right. And sometimes you kind of stick to the format, right?
Right, because if you guys have an argument, you want that to be there. Like when Kevin and I have disagreed, our engineer would be like, you guys want me to cut that? And we're like, no, that's real. Yeah. That's two guys at the fucking bar.
Right.
So there's no real magic. I guess that's the magic, I guess.
But let me ask you this, though. You mentioned about the money, right? Look, you're the leader, right? You're the guy who did this. I understand that Kevin's, half of the show, but you're the guy. Is there pressure on you? Like, oh, man, if I don't make enough money on this each month, Kevin's going to say, well, I'm done. And all this hard work gets washed away. I mean, what kind of pressure's on you?
Well, I serve a few masters. The reality is, Monty, that's a picture of one of them right there. We got to keep it going for the person for whose name is on the show, in much deservedly bigger print than mine. I got a daughter in college. I have a life and a lifestyle, 2 kids, a lovely wife, and you have to keep things going. So there are plenty of days that I wish I was elsewhere, like on Mars. And, on any given day, I'll have Kevin on the phone about ratings. And then Todd will be popping up here, complaining about the publicity department at the publishing company. And then, maybe, I'm working on a very exciting project with Sean Waltman, and maybe we're working through something there. So there's a lot of air traffic control in my days. And keeping people optimistic, keeping people realistic, keeping people focused, no tantrums allowed. Or have your tantrum and then, okay, we ready to talk about business, about the next show or the next chapter? That's a big part of it. And going back to my kayfabe days, I never minded having a difficult talent as long as the show was good. As long as the fan was going to get content that was compelling, entertaining, salable, would make money, I'll shoulder a difficult talent. I'll shoulder a tantrum. That's part of my job. But when the light goes on, we got to do the thing. And as long as we do the thing, I'll take the agita. But there's plenty of agita in my days, if that's the answer, if that's the question.
Look, I got so many more questions, but we got hit with so many fan questions. I got to post some fan questions I need you to respond to, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I'm going to have to change my glasses here because I'm blind like a
See,
bat.
there's another thing, right? When you asked your grandfather to do something when you're a kid, he's like, hold on, I need the other glasses.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I could handle it. So this looks like at Share Bear from North Carolina. Sean, huge fan. Now that you've expanded into virtual signings to go with your RF video sales, do you think the wrestlers are more comfortable doing these virtuals as opposed to in person?
So I'm not Rob Feinstein, first of all.
Oops.
But you could ask him. It's a good question.
I guess I should have vetted these questions before I read them.
For somebody else.
All right. Let's go to the next one.
And the night I won the title at the Garden.
All right. At Bored and Horny. Ooh, you got a good one here. From Pasadena,
Come on,
California.
Pharaoh. Just call in.
Fans of yours all the way from your beginnings, having seen you grow up selling your tapes to actually have a promotion, how hard was it for you to personally have to give up your half of Ring of Honor?
It was funny the first time.
Look, I didn't make these questions. They came over.
The dead horse is not getting up.
All right, last one. The Ultimate V from Panama City, Florida. That's where Pharaoh is, I think. Sean, with all the successes in the video and interviews and book writing and appearances on TV and voiceovers, what did you feel like when you had your greatest success in your movie Beyond the Mat?
Thank you for the question, Todd. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
On a serious note, we do have an ECW legend on the air, Sandman. He wants to join in. Is Sandman with us? All right, Sandman, thank you for joining us. You're with the great Sean Oliver. Thank you for joining us.
Yo! What
Hank,
the
you've
fuck,
never sounded
Sean
better.
Oliver? Yeah!
See, if this was Hack, he wouldn't remember me. So...
Not my fucking voice in the fucking audio book, you fucking douchebag. If we ever fucking meet in person, yeah, you're getting paid, dude.
I know I'm safe because he won't remember me when he sees me. And Hack, it was one of the impressions I was most complimented on. I did a better Sandman than Sandman, some people said. So You may want to find a new vocal coach, but the gargling glass thing is helping.
Dude, you're going down.
Wow.
On who?
That's a good response.
Yo, you fucking dissed my boy off. I'm coming for you.
He's coming. I'm going down.
Can we reveal who the true Sandman is?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd try.
Come on, Monty.
Well, I don't know what to do with this. I guess I better
nice
go on a
longest
quit.
Todd's gone. That's the longest
No, it
Todd's
was
gone
fucking
between
nice
six of his
of
martinis.
fucking Sean to put the book over so much during this fucking interview. I think he fucking mentioned it once.
It's a pretty good
It's
scene.
look at the screen. It's right there. Take your head out of Missy Hyatt's beaver and look at the screen. It's on Monty's desk. It's behind me here, next to
Pharaoh was
Sinatra.
right. You're a fucking dick.
Oh, wow. What is
Who
that?
was
all
right?
about? Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Oh, I thought you said Marty Jannetty. I'm sorry. I thought you said that back.
Hey, he's sick, and I'm letting him off the hook.
Thank you, Hack.
Thank you, Hack, for joining us.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies. There you go. Go Eagles.
Monty, the important question is,
Yeah.
Kiss is retiring. Are you going to the final show at the Garden?
I will not. I am not
I'm
going
just
to
guessing
spend.
by age that might be important to you.
It is very important to me, but not at $5,000 a ticket. I've seen them enough times that I could just remember those. You know what I mean? There comes a point where things become egregious, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, is it that high in the secondary market?
That's what I heard. I mean, look, I haven't really looked. I just from what I hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen them also. You know, I have enough memories, and but just again, it's one of those bucket list things that for a part of history, should you be there? Should you be there?
And how's that?
You know,
Sean, with all the things you've done in your life, right? How long does that stay with you? You go, you're in the moment. You know, from what I hear, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's an example.
Yeah, I mean,
Are you one of those guys that sit there at a concert and you put your iPhone on and you sit there and film, you video the whole concert? I mean, what do you do with that footage? You sit and watch it in your bedroom? You do nothing with it.
no, I never did. There are a couple of times where I'll take, like, just some of, like, I saw Springsteen this year. Rite of passage if you live in New Jersey, right? And I had thus far held out, and I did go see him, and I sat pretty close. So I just took some pictures and maybe a little bit of footage of a song. But I mostly do it for my memory, to remind myself that I was actually there.
Yeah, right.
Because I can't remember if I took my pills most days. I have
Right.
to actually stand there for a minute and say, did I take these yet? The mind is going clearly.
Isn't that the worst feeling? Like, I have a regimen of pills too. And I'm like, did I take it? And if I take a double dose, what's it's going to do to me? So I better not take it at all because I can't remember if I took it originally.
I mean, people think we're ribbing here, but it's a thing. Like, I remember taking the pills, but I'm like, was that today?
Yes. Yes.
And I stand there looking at it. And I go, well, what would happen if there was one additional blood pressure pill? Just one. You know, I know the hair growth pills. It's escaping me for the moment. I know that'll be fine. I know the Nexium, you could pop 2 Nexiums, that's fine. Should I just leave the blood pressure pill out today? It's a thing when you have to stand there and go over that while you stare at the electric clock and wait for the Grim Reaper to ring the doorbell.
Well, I'm on blood thinners, so it's like, did I take it? I can't double dose it. But then if I don't take this, will something happen to me during the day for not taking it? Believe me, I go through the same mess. It's depressing.
Yeah. Did you grow up on Long Island, or did you land out there after you got tired of Queens or Brooklyn?
No, I grew up on Long Island, and I've been
Oh, you
trying to
did.
get out of here for most of my life. I went to college and then joined the military, and I expected to have lived somewhere else, and I found my way back here. And it's not a bad place to live, don't get me wrong, but I don't like cold weather anymore, and
Right.
I kind of just I want to be somewhere different. And I don't know if this has happened to you too. Me and my wife are talking about it. Ever since COVID, like we don't really like love going out of the house anymore. It's like, you can stay in the house. I could go out, have a few drinks, go to a concert, but we could sit home and watch TV or do something else, right? I mean, that's also what's happening too as I get older. I don't really want to go out into society anymore.
Well, the other thing is, what are you going to do? Where can you really go? You can go do the necessary stuff. You could go to the goddamn supermarket. Boy, there's a diary entry. I was at the supermarket today, right? Maybe you need some shoes. You could hit DSW, but what are you going to do for entertainment, right? So it's like what starts to happen is the opportunity for spontaneous, wonderful days traipsing through the sprinklers starts to wane, and there's a very few comfort things that you grab for, a few favorite restaurants I'm sure you have, stuff like that. But what the hell else are you doing? I'm not going to a club.
Here's a question for you. I was thinking about this. Now, obviously, you live a pretty comfortable life. You've had a successful career. I live a pretty comfortable life. But I was thinking about people that may not be living so comfortable, right? They may be living a little check to check, and then maybe they find a little extra money and they go out to a restaurant. Today's restaurants and the service and the food is so bad. Could you imagine having like your little extra money, you bring your wife or your girlfriend out to eat and you get a bad meal? Because I get bad meals all the time. Bad service, bad meals. And I think about that person like, wow, that experience has got to be terrible too.
One of my indulgences is eating out. Playing along with Sandman's thing there, is eating out at restaurants.
Yeah.
But also consider, though, Monty, today, because of the internet, because of reviews, because of Yelp, where people post pictures and opinions, you can do a little reconnaissance before you hit a new place. So you do have a little bit, back in the day, if it wasn't a recommendation from somebody, you were kind of going in blind. But now you can do a little bit of homework before you hit a restaurant. I just had an unbelievable, I found a place on Staten Island, Don Cheech, it's called. And Italian food, as you might have gleaned from the title. And they had I referenced before, a pounded bone-in veal chop Parmesan there. My daughter got a truffle cream sauce with a ricotta ravioli. My wife got a squid ink linguine with clams and anyway. So these things are exciting to me.
Yeah.
When I find a new place and it exceeds expectations, this is wonderful for me. But
You're making me excited talking about it.
oh my God, is there nothing better than that? Than an unbelievable meal where you can sit down for 2 hours, no one's rushing you,
Right.
and and it all just you have to appreciate the small things, and this is what it is. Going for a meal when you were 16, to think that would have been exciting would be ridiculous. But at our age, this is an exciting night out. This is Blue Chew for the soul, baby. Right up.
When you were younger, like you're in acting, you got into acting, you're a book writer, obviously you did great with these wrestling shoot interviews. At what point did you decide in your life, I'm not going to be a regular Joe? Because I'm always, I even say that to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a pretty popular singer back in the day here on the island. I never had the guts to take chances like that. What made you take those? There's a lot of risk there, right? If it doesn't work out, you're penniless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good question, but it's hard to answer because I never knew anything else. I never wanted to do anything else. It was always entertainment in some capacity, and I went to school for media arts. My intention was to write and direct film. Back when it was shot on film, I was in college cutting film with a guillotine. There was no video editing on a computer. It was splicing film, and the beauty of shooting film and having it come back and look exactly as you had intended in your mind, because there was no monitor to look at and say, oh, we need to make it darker. You just have to know, based on your light reading, if you move your stop down a half, it's going to get a little darker and you'll have more shadow here. But you know that in your mind, just from the film stock you have, the film speed you have, the light meter readings, and what the room looks like, and then it comes back, and it's like, yeah, that's what was in my head. That was like an addictive part of it for me. I loved everything about film. So I wanted to direct, but I started acting as a teenager, and so some stuff started to happen there. So I kept doing that, and I directed some TV commercials for a while, and always kept writing. But God, I guess, Monty, the only law that I realized I lived by, but I didn't learn to articulate it until I was older, in my 40s, was you don't have to be one thing. It would be torture for me to have the same answer when someone said, so what do you do? I tend to go, what do you want to talk about?
Nice.
Because I've probably done it. So, yeah, to be one thing and serve one industry and try to move up that singular ladder. I was 45 and I said, I never wrote a book.
A book. Wow.
I took it seriously. I read a lot about it. I read a lot of stuff, a lot of material. And when I thought I had a handle on it, I took it seriously and did what I had to do to get books out there. Same for everything. I mean, the shoot interview thing, which I guess everyone here probably knows me from, it was a phone call from my business partner, Anthony. I was working at Deutsche Bank on the 45th floor of 60 Wall Street at night, looking out over the East River, and he called me. He goes, the only thing that's never been done in wrestling is like an alternate commentary track. You know how you'll have like DVDs and you listen to the director's commentary who talks over the movie about how everything happened?
Yeah.
Having wrestlers do that for matches that you've always seen. I was like, yeah, you're right. No one's done that. You want to do it? I got on the phone that night. I called wrestling agents or bookers to see who was available. I said to him, can we do this from a technical standpoint? Can you set up a paywall where, now remember, this is 2007, so we're not where we were now. I said, could you build like an iTunes where people can download an MP3 of the Iron Sheik talking about his match against Hogan? And then someone puts on their iPod and starts it when the match starts, and it's in sync. And think of the fun we could have with all these matches that we've always seen for all these years. Reimagine having someone go, I was supposed to actually gig here, but I lost my blade before when I was outside the ring. I mean, that would be great. People would be like sitting on the couch with them and watching a match. And that was our first product. That's why it was called Kayfabe Commentaries. Imagine trying to explain that concept to somebody who had no idea what I was talking about. Yes, it's downloadable alternate commentary tracks for wrestling matches. Go fuck yourself. So
Yeah.
Eventually, after putting out a bunch of those at like $2 a pop or whatever, I said, listen, if this is a viable business, we're going to have to jump into the industry that all those other guys that they were asking me about with the goofy questions before, we're going to have to jump into the video world and bring this there. But we're not going to do it like they do it. They do the whole career retrospective. Let's take an angle. Let's take a booker and have them come on and book something on camera that they had nothing to do with in wrestling. So that was the first video we did, guest booker with Kevin Sullivan. What if Kevin Sullivan was booking WWF in '84 and Hogan didn't come from Minneapolis? What would you have done to make the '80s boom? We didn't think in terms of series-based programming yet until we saw the success of that. And people were like, my God, I never seen anything. It's like a shoot interview, but it's like about booking, and it's like specific, and there's graphics, and it's lit, you know, because I went to film school, and they're mic'd, and people actually take the time to let you hear and see what's going on. So we've gotten such a reception that we then realized, oh, this could be a series. And then shortly after that, You Shoot comes. Oh, that could be a series where fans ask questions to the lightning rods in the business, and we don't edit them. We read the question or play the video exactly as the fan asks it, and sit back and let Honky go to town. And so it was series-based programming in that, and it was literally, Monty, with that little amount of thought. Well, we were sitting on the phone when I was bored at work at 11 o'clock at night, and we were like, well, let's just hire some wrestlers and have them come in and get on the headset with me, and we'll put the match on the TV, and we'll record them going through the match, and then we'll sell it. So there was no great master plan. It was just what the next thing was, but it was in the creative industry. It was in the creative world, so that stuff always appealed to me. It was my life.
I think I being an originator like that and having that idea is just incredible. I want to quickly mention Todd is God, which is on the table. Both me and Pharaoh love this book. I know the book isn't written yet, but you're doing the one on Sean Waltman. And maybe I'm out of line asking this question, but is Sean does he feel guilt over China?
Sean is such an interesting and complex guy, and a great guy, first of all. And you will take a journey in this book through the different stages of Sean's life, through his eyes, and then where he came out and where he is today, which is a very good place. But Sean does, to answer your question, and the phrase that Sean has used that is in the book is, I can't help but I can't say what would have happened if she didn't meet me, but I can tell you she was in a worse place after meeting me than before.
Interesting. Sad story. Too many of them. Here's the question I always wanted to ask you too. When did you fall in love with wrestling? What do you remember the moment, the second, what it was?
Yeah, I do. For us, I try to explain to people, first of all, being in the entertainment business, people would sometimes, if they heard I owned a production company, I'm working on a film, and the other actors say, oh, so you have a production company? Okay, here it goes. Yes, and hopefully it ended there. What kind? It's interview-based professional sports. And hopefully it ended there. And then the third hurdle was, I'd say, listen, you get it or you don't, it's pro wrestling. And then it always ended there. So for the layperson who doesn't understand, wrestling for guys our age was what the Marvel films are now. Because the superhero films in the 70s and 80s were goofy. It was Christopher Reeve with with his brajol hanging out and the tight red thing, and it wasn't cool. The Batman series, a little, God love Adam West and Burt Ward, but it was camp. There were no real life superheroes that kids cheered. So the wrestlers were the closest thing to today's Black Panther, Spider-Man. So that was the appeal for us. And the moment, Monty, was on a giant black and white television, I guess in like 78, maybe I was like 6. And I was over a friend's house who had older brothers, and they were watching on WWOR at 5 p.m. on a Saturday. They were watching grown men built like superheroes that I would see in the comic books, beating the shit out of each other. And then they did a promo by the ring, and superstar Billy Graham held the microphone, looked into the camera, and talked to me because I was frozen. And I said, there was just a sense of, I've never seen anything like this. And that was it. Superstar Billy Graham, 1978, on a big black and white TV. And then I would try to catch it myself when I learned when it was on. And that was it. It was off to the races after that. And once then kind of it morphed into my knowing that there was a charade that was deliberately being hidden from me. And that became very fun. Watching Kamala and saying, I wonder what goes on at home when he returns and his wife is there waiting for him. You know, that kind of thing, going through that these guys are people, they're regular people. And that illusion was more photos of me with my shirt off. Thank you.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah. But that's what it was, Monty. It was the real life superhero, larger than life. And to me, always, and I think it's because of our age, it was more important what they did on the stick than in the ring. I don't think I realized what work rate was until I read The Observer when I was 25.
Right.
But I knew that every time there was a Piper's Pit, I wasn't going to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
So I so valued the guys that hooked me with their mouths.
Same here, man.
I
Same here.
Talking about my days as an altar boy, hooked me with their mouths. But it was very important to me always what these guys did, that charisma. There's nothing like a professional wrestler. I mean, years later, you walk into a locker room, I guess they could be baseball players, they could be wrestlers, they could be catalog models. You walked into a locker room in 1978 with Tony Atlas over there, King Kong Bundy over there, Afa and Sika are over there, the Grand Wizard's sitting over there. Either the circus is in town or this is a professional wrestling locker room. There's nothing like those guys.
Man, I love it. I got to get 2 super chats in, fans asking. Salvatore M is saying, Sean, why didn't Elliot Gould become a bigger star? He was fantastic in The Long Goodbye. What if that was it too Semitic looking? I don't know what that means.
Oh, too Jewish.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know. I think I'm a very big fan of Elliot Gould's work as Ross and Monica's father on Friends. His comedic timing was a blessing to see. And Salvatore, honestly, I think that he had a hose like a thoroughbred, and a lot of times in full body in master shots it would show. And I think that he never got the work he could have because of his schwanz.
Are you being serious right now?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Here, we have to get this one in. Ditka89. Was Eric Sims an enabler to the Iron Sheik?
Eric Sims is an interesting character. Eric Sims, for anyone who doesn't know, super agent to the Wrestling Stars and longtime handler of, he gets prettier and prettier every year. He handler of the Sheik for many years. An enabler. Are you maybe talking about drug use? I don't know how much drug use went on in front of Eric.
There was the rumor out there that to keep Sheik happy, he would feed him stuff. I've talked to Eric personally about it. Eric denies it. I believe Eric. I don't
I'll
think he's a
tell
liar.
you, I've spent a lot of time with Eric and also around Kaz when we were doing the roasts and stuff. And the only, I swear on my kids, the only intoxicant of any kind that I ever saw Sheik take was drink beer. I never saw. I know he did the other stuff. I would always hear the stories, and Sheiky would talk about it too. But I never saw in my present. I would credit that probably to Eric, who wanted to always maintain an air of professionalism around, mixed company. But Kaz would have probably pulled out a straw and snorted anything in an Applebee's. But I think Eric, as his handler, always, if it happened, always kept it behind closed doors. Or listen, they didn't always room together either. So like, Sheik would go to his room, Eric would go to his room, and I guess stuff would happen. But honestly, with my eyes, I've only seen him drink beer.
All right, man. I want to thank you for joining us. Always an honor. I'm so glad that I've met you through this crazy world of wrestling. I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Again, I always thank you for being so kind and coming on this show whenever we ask. So thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure. And give my best to Pharaoh and any of the other kooks that you have in there.
And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Todd Gordon, who also is very professional. I recommend getting the Todd is God book. It's a great read. I read it over the summer. Pharaoh actually read it over the summer also. Incredible writing there, Sean. So just add it to another list of wins for you, sir.
Thank you very much. And the audiobooks out there, too, that's a lot of fun. Those of you that like to listen to your books. I did put a great deal of care into my Too Cold Scorpio impression for everybody. So make sure you listen to it if you like to listen to audiobooks.
When are you expecting the Sean Waltman book to be released?
Our agent has the proposal in the hands of some publishers now. We had a meeting with one of them at the end of the summer. The speed at which the publishing industry moves is I'm going to make another bad Pharaoh joke. I'm not going to do it.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. Send them a nice Thanksgiving gift.
Very slowly, slower than the action in the bedroom in Lakeland, Florida.
Oh my God.
But so we're still talking to people to have it find a home. I've written, probably about 85,000 words of it already. It's first draft, so we have to go through it, and it's not finished, but it's in good shape. The story's amazing. This is a story that's going to transcend the wrestling story. And as it touches on things like sexual abuse and addiction and so many things that so many people in society deal with, and this is a winner's story, so it's inspirational.
With that, again, Sean, thank you for joining us. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving out there. Thank you for supporting us every Thursday. For the Pharaoh fans, like Sean is, Pharaoh is talking about making his return within the next couple of weeks. Once that's official, I'll announce it. And we will not see you next week, as we'll be celebrating with our family. Again, thank you, Mr. Sean Oliver. Thank you to everybody joining us. We love you. Have a great night.